and then we'll have Sfirata Omer said.
No.
And then Havdalah will be done by our own Barry Bassler.
On the beach.
On the beach. Barry on the beach.
I know, it's just.
Okay. So, without any further ado, Rabbi, if maybe you'll give us some words of Torah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to welcome everyone here. I appreciate that everyone has taken the time and energy to come on and to gather together. The reading we missed this week is really a special one, particularly Kedoshim Tihiyu, you should be holy. And there's a famous story of the Rebbe Shmelka of Nikolsburg. People may not know Shmelka of Nikolsburg. He's an important figure in the early Hasidic revolution. He was a student of the Maggid of Mezrich. He was the great-grandfather of Naomi, I think 7 generations back. And he was the teacher of the Chos of Lublin, Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev, and other important figures. He started Hasidic yeshiva for Rebbes, basically. The people that came out of there were all major Hasidic Rebbes in the early revolution, and his teachings are mainly known through his students. He didn't write much, but there are a few books. This one's called Shemen HaTov, which is a collection of his teachings and the teachings of his brother Pinchas. And the particular teaching I wanted to quote today is actually quoted in Buber's Tales of the Hasidim. It's quoted differently than the way he wrote it, so it became famous from Martin Buber quoting it. The story is as follows. Sha'al HaGo, it's a short one and impactful. There's one guest coming in. So he says, Sha'al HaGaon HaKadosh Rabbi Avram Chaim MiZlachov. So Avram Chaim of Zlachov, the holy genius, a Rebbe, Baal Orach L'Chaim, who wrote a sefer called Orach L'Chaim, where this story is also recorded, asked the Rebbe Shmelka the following question: Hech mekaymi mitzvahs v'ahavta l'recha kamocha v'chaverai osa li raot. How can I love my neighbor like myself when my neighbors are so terrible to me? That's the question, as recorded. And and he answered in a way that he hoped would really be received. Maybe in a modern sense we could even make it broader than that, I would hope. But aren't all the souls of Israel really one at their root? Nishmat Adam Harishon, the soul of Adam. The Talmud says we're all descended from one person, so that, well, why not 2? Not because men are superior to women. That's not the answer the Talmud gives. The Talmud gives the answer that no one can say they're better than anyone else. We're all descended from the same person. So he's going broader here and making a panentheistic religious point. At our root, we're all unified. We're all part of one whole creation. We're not really isolated individuals, even though so much of our mind, our ego, our psychology, our culture puts us as isolated. And now we are physically isolated in that way. So that maybe even reinforces it. So he said, but it's not true, right? We're all one. Everyone is a spark from the same fire, as it were. Kamosha Kasav B'Sfarim HaKadoshim, as it's written in the Holy Sfarim, the holy books. Which ones? All of them. Sometimes, if you're like me, you're a klutz, you injure yourself more or less seriously without intention. The head is in charge. If you start to do this a lot, people begin to think you're incompetent. If you're constantly hurting yourself, people begin to think you're a fool. I know, firsthand experience. I broke my feet in 11th and 12th grade 4 consecutive times trying to play sports after each recovery, like the week coming back. And so I remember what that was like. And I began to get a reputation as not just injured, but something else. And so he's saying, if you would do this regularly, maybe even intentionally almost, people would think you're a fool. Why are you causing yourself more pain? It's the same with your friend if you try and cause them damage. So So your friend, because he is incompetent, is acting rudely to you. Often we know, right? I make this mistake every time I'm angry because almost every time I'm angry that someone has done something I feel is insulting to me. And then I go, if I speak to them about it, I learn that the same reasons I do stupid things I regret are the same reasons they do. They were tired or stressed or something came out the wrong way, but rarely is it the way we think it is. But even if it's intentional and it's just being mean. So what's his point? Just because they've done something that shows a lack of will, so you're going to cause yourself more pain by paying the favor back. But you should realize that it's part of one unified whole. God has many messengers. So this is a powerful teaching, I think. I noticed this trend recently, maybe I even participated in it, where there are people protesting restrictions, social restrictions. And there is this feeling, this teaching highlights a whole new reality. I think it's one thing to say in a spiritual sense, we're all one. That's a Hasidic idea. But I think we know that what every person does relates to how every person is now, because we're afraid of a contagion that spreads and that conquers political barriers, right? If there's an outbreak in the Gaza Strip, it would be bad for the people in Israel. If there are outbreaks in poor communities, it can affect people in wealthier communities and vice versa. There are inequalities associated with it, but the basic point is that there's a breakdown of the isolation. And so even we talk about, I hate the term social isolation, as if physical isolation should cause, social isolation would be a terrible thing. It's never something we should aim for. Physical isolation, distancing is something useful. Social isolation is an incompetent phrase. And so what's the point? We all know very tangibly now that if other people act stupidly, it's going to affect us. And if we act stupidly, it's going to affect other people. And so you can't break it down. And that's his point, right? If you do something and you lash out at someone, we're one whole. You're really harming a part of yourself. We have to think collectively. So even in the response of those people acting in a socially responsible way, there is, I think, a tendency to want to just, I feel it too, to want to insult people who are being stupid or trying to go against protocol with anti-scientific thinking or hateful thinking. But the spiritual truth, and I get that on a practical level, but the spiritual truth is a deeper one, right? Which is the whole lesson of this is that we're all in it together. And so that's Aleph. Bet, there's another mitzvah in this week's parsha. You should surely rebuke your neighbor. And I think that's actually part of the love we have to feel for neighbors as well. It can't just be this Pollyanna, well, everyone's wonderful, but there's the other side of it as well. I've taken recently, I get a lot of emails where people say what I believe to be stupid things. And I usually used to dismiss them, but now I have a new resolution. It was something a mentor suggested to me. Why don't you answer kindly but honestly? And so I did that a few times this week to some people, no one on this call. And they could think I'm wrong, but from my perspective, it was honest. It might have come across as blunt or even harsh. Kind, but harsh, that line. And actually, I felt more respect to those people, because before I would have just dismissed them as, I can't believe they think that. They're so stupid. Even though they're people who I know are not, they're people I respect in some ways. And I would hate for people to think I've said something stupid and not tell me because they don't want to confront me. There's this fear in our culture of confrontation and real conversation. So respect goes two ways. One, that when we look at other people, we should realize that we're part of a collective whole, and that we should treat people in that way. And even if they've harmed us or are going to harm us, we shouldn't, that's a manifestation of a lack of that sort of thinking. We shouldn't respond in kind. We should respond by a sort of collective loving approach. The second piece of the teaching, just to summarize, is that a collective loving approach doesn't always mean being nice. As people know, the people you're closest with are the people you can be most honest with. And we should want to be in relationship with people in community, in other words, where we can have difficult conversations and even tell people when we think they're wrong, and also be as open to hearing it from people as we are to telling people. I think that's something that I'm thinking about as a result of sort of the coronavirus, how to be in more genuine, real community with people, because we are already. That's what the virus teaches, right? Like, Nazis marching on the State House. Unfortunately, we're in community with them, right? That's the metaphysical reality. And like, if they get sick, they could get us all sick. So there's no choice in the matter. It's just how it is. And that's actually really helpful in getting us out of our sort of ego and sort of realizing by fact, we are all in one collective. So it's the teaching from Schmelke of Nikolsburg. And I think it's a really powerful one to sort of keep in our hearts.
Great, thank you. Oh,
So I have a chavrusa who I learned with. Is this the time for music?
sure, yes.
I thought we could use the digital platform well. So my chavrusa, Yosef Goldman. Does anyone know Yosef Goldman in Philadelphia? Now works at Hadar's Rising Song Institute. I had the benefit for about a year of being sort of paired with him in the Rabbis Without Borders Fellowship. We were chavrusas before he became a famous musician. I knew then he would be. And so he wrote a really beautiful music video for Sfirat HaOmer that came out. So I thought maybe we'd play it to kind of get us in the mood for counting the Omer. Do a screen share.
Don't want to see it right now. I want to hear this.
Give the thumb up if you can hear. I actually can't. Hold on. Can anyone hear?
No.
No.
Here's the volume on YouTube. All right.
Sometimes a mute switch, like a mute in the lower left corner of the screen.
I'll give this one more try. Hold on. I think I might need to switch to the system audio.
Right.
Yeah, the other thing, right, there might be a setting that
Play through your computer audio. Yep.
where it says like by video on the bottom, video settings.
Okay, we're going to try that again, friends.
It might be.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Kid.
Okay, well, clearly I cannot use Zoom after all of these weeks. Wait, I got it.
Oh, you got it.
L'shem yichud kodesh abrichu u'shchintei hineni muchan u'mezuman lekayem mitzvat ha'aseh l'shem yichud kodesh abrichu u'shchintei hineni muchan u'mezuman לקיים מצוות עשה של ספירת העומר, של ספירת העומר, של ספירת העומר, של ספירת העומר. שבע שבתות תמימות תהיינה, שבע שבתות תמימות תהיינה. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu העולם, אשר קידשנו, במצוותיו וציוונו, על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר. שבע שבתות תמימות תהיינה, שבע שבתות תמימות תהיינה.
Wow, that was very nice. Very nice.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Really. Thanks. Thank you.
Miriam, the woman who was on the woman who was on the left with the band, she was the singer at the conferences here,
Right.
and she led some of the services.
Yes. Yes. I
What
recognize.
is her name?
I don't know her name.
Her name is Deborah Sachs-Mintz.
Say that again.
Deborah Sachs-Mintz, who has an upcoming album to be released in 1 week, I think. Shameless promotion.
Voice.
Okay, so Rabbi, now if you wouldn't mind doing the real thing for us, and we'll all the Sfirat Omer.
Sure thing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu al sfiras haomer.
Amen.
Hayom al haveshim yom shim shosha shavuos u'shalosha yamim ba'omer.
Okay, and now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Mr. Barry Bessler is going to lead us in Havdalah.
Okay, hey guys, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
we can also see you.
Oh, that's good. Well, I don't know how good that is, but okay. All right. So someone told me that I'm growing a Raleigh Fingers mustache. I know that's probably not relevant to the younger set, but okay. All right. Oh, I'm just gonna light this sucker. Uh-oh.
Oh, here, you need a hand here.
Seems like there's a wick on it. Hold on, we need an auxiliary. Hold on. All right.
Flamethrower.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about. Yeah, that is a flamethrower, right? Okay, hold on. Yep, we're getting there. Maybe not. Hold on. There we go. Yay! We'll get there eventually. All righty. All right, we got all the wicks going? Not yet? All righty, here we go. All right. Okay, I don't know how I'm gonna get you guys to smell this stuff, but you can do a virtual smell.
Virtual.
Virtually. Smells virtually. Okay.
Press the left top corner of the screen.
All right, you got it? Oh, there you go. I'll do that. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Hine el yeshir teftach lev chad Keziv Zimraya Adonai Vayhi Lishua. Shavtem Mayim Bisason. Mi Mayne Haishua. Adonai Haishua Labcha Birchate. Sela Birchatecha Sela. Adonai Tzvaot Imanu Mizgavlanu Al Yaakov Sela. Adonai Tzvaot Asher Damotech Bach. Adonai Hashem Echinenu B'Yom Kareinu. Yedim Haitaro V'Simcha V'Sasem Yikar. Ein Tiel Lanu. Kos Yishuat Asa V'Shem Adonai Akra Sabri.
Chaim.
Eloheinu Melech Haolam Borei Pergafen.
Amen.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Borei Minei B'Samim.
Amen.
Higher, Barry. Put the candle higher.
I don't have to get married. It's all
Fine.
right. Not looking for a shit up there. Okay. Is that better? I mean, my smoke alarm's gonna go off. Is that better?
Smoke alarm coming.
All right. Okay. All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pergafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei b'samim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei mirei ha'esh.
Amen.
All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil ben kodesh l'cha ben el l'choshech ben Yisrael ha'amim ben yom hashvi'i l'sheshit yom ha'aseh. Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh l'cha.
Amen.
Zolzan gittin zolzan voil. That's what my mother said every time I have Havdalah, so now I say.
Amen.
All right.
Good Davach.
Good luck, everybody.
Shavua
Good
tov.
night.
Tov.
At this
So
point,
at this point,
I'm just going to say, just want to thank everybody for stopping by. We're going to leave it up, and if anybody wants to stick around and just schmooze a little bit, you know, that's really it. But I want to thank everybody for coming, and Rabbi.
Marvin, there's refreshments.
Thank you,
on the table
Marvin,
in the back.
Miriam, Rabbi.
That was great.
people should really feel free if they want to stay and chat. And really, all the sponsors, Marvin and Barry, thank you for getting this together. And to all the sponsors, thank you for doing that, and thank you everyone for coming. But people should feel free if they want to stay and chat a little, just to hang out.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you.
Oh, hi.
Thanks, Marvin. Thanks,
I'm not sure if
Miriam.
anybody's saying.
Bye,
hi.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Can I just show you one thing while we're
Good
on?
night.
No, well, I want to show you one
Okay.
thing. We'll turn the meeting on.
Okay.
Excellent, Barry.
Well
Excellent.
done,
Yes,
sir.
that should go up Barry Bessler and Rabbi.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I have absolutely nothing to say, so I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna check out.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Everybody.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Erev Tov.
I'm told that I'm cooking my
Erev
wife
Tov.
dinner now, so Shavua Tov.
Shavua tov.
Shavua tov. Thanks, guys. Alessandra fell asleep, or she would have joined us. So she says hi.
Thanks.
Okay.
So we say hi.
Sounds like our baby's fighting it right now.
Yeah,
That's what
she's
they
gonna wake up
do.
really upset because we go out to look for 3 stars now.
Oh,
So she's gonna wake up, and we did Havdalah, so I'm gonna have to do a non-halakhic improvisation tomorrow night. So that actually at the same conference where that singer was, the conservative conference, because there was so much going on, she missed Havdalah, but got there like after when they were singing in a circle, and all of a sudden she started crying, and we're like, "Why are you crying?" Because she wanted to do the candle. So
Oh.
we grabbed some candles and we relit, said, excuse us, got a light.
Right.
But it was really interesting that already just like a little over 3, it's part of her DNA and her consciousness.
is she into ritual?
Yeah, very much. And consistency.
Mm.
Yeah, and so she knows, like I didn't realize how much it was in her brain until that evening.
Right.
And when she literally just started crying, like I thought she had stubbed her toe or something, but no, she had missed the lighting of the candle and putting the candle out.
That's very
That was
sweet.
awesome.
That's great. That's something you want to remember and treasure. Those memories are great.
Yeah, no, and I write it down so it won't be forgotten. No.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good too.
Yeah.
That's very impressive.
Hi, Bess. Are you still on there, Bess?
No, he left. He said he was I'm gonna go turn in too, but thanks everyone.
All right. Yes.
you so much.
Everybody have a
Yes,
good night.
thank you. That was
Take care.
lovely. Good
Bye-bye.
night.